Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the first ever Chit Chat podcast. We're so thankful that you're listening. Yeah, I just got done recording my first fun interview with one of my dearest and best friends, Brian Wohlman. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Again, we're kind of learning what this podcast is, and so podcast kind of took some fun turns. Brian and I talked about our relationship and being friends and about St. Cloud and his career as a barber here in central Minnesota. So it's just a fun listen. Just a couple of guys from central Minnesota hanging out, chatting with each other and talking. Yeah, I'm excited for you to hear it. And again, we're thankful that you're here. All right, here's the show. Brian, Gary,
Yes,
Wohlman.
that's me.
Brian, thank you for coming and being guest number one.
Number one. I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you.
Good.
Thank
On
you.
the Chit Chat podcast.
Chit Chat.
Thanks for coming. We really appreciate it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The goal here today is we're going to drink some good coffee together.
Can't wait.
We're going to have a little conversation,
Yes.
sometimes better known as a chit chat.
Chit chat.
We're going to talk about anything and everything.
Okay.
But you and I both live in central Minnesota, so we can talk about
do.
some central Minnesota.
Yeah.
We run a business. We each do.
Yeah.
We could talk about that. Or just wherever the wild hairs take us.
I can't wait.
Good. All right. Well, Brian, again, thanks for coming. We really, really appreciate it a lot.
Thanks for
Maybe
having me.
just introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do and how long have you been here in central Minnesota?
Yeah. So I moved to, my name is Brian Wohlman, and I moved to the St. Cloud area in 1999. I came up here to work and I went to school and I learned how to cut hair at the Regency Beauty Academy in downtown St. Cloud, which is no longer there. And now I run a men's grooming salon in St. Joseph, Minnesota.
What's it called?
It's Two Bits Men's Grooming Salon.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You probably know this, but I've had one perm in my whole life.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I think we probably talked about it, but I'd like to hear more now if I could.
You know what's so great? It sounds like this was a bit that we had talked about before.
Never.
But
Yeah.
for sure not. For sure not. When I was in high school, I had a friend who was in school at Regency.
Wow. Okay.
And she had to do her practice
Wow,
for the perm.
great.
And I had long enough hair, and so I went in to go get my perm at Regency.
I'm just thinking about if we were friends when I was in school,
Okay.
how many colors and perms you would have had, and how many times we would have had to shave your head because I would have fried your hair.
Ruined it.
It would have been ruined.
So, not many because of just all of the Bics that I would have needed all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But at least once,
Yeah.
one time.
Good.
How'd you like your perm when you had it?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
I think that could really fill up a lot of time with this. So you had a perm in central Minnesota at a local school that is no longer in existence.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the school again? that you went to?
Regency.
Okay, Regency Beauty Academy, I think that was.
Yeah,
correct?
that's so good.
Beautiful.
Good. Well, why don't we drink a little bit of coffee first as we jump in?
Yeah, I can't wait.
So I think this is a decaf latte.
Okay.
This was your
is-
selection. So we've got ourselves a decaf latte
Yes,
here.
yeah.
The espresso in it is from Colombia. And it's got a little.
Do we
hint-
get to cheers?
Oh yeah, we can cheers. We'll
Yeah.
touch the table maybe.
Do that, and then we're not. Okay.
For those that aren't watching the video, they're like, "What's happening now?" But we're just drinking some lattes.
Yep, and I'm just gonna dab the mustache.
That's good. So I love that you're drinking decaf. About a year ago, I also quit decaf.
Yeah.
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 I overheard someone telling someone else about how they were sleeping poorly, and that they went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Well, tell me about your caffeine consumption." And she shared the caffeine consumption, and he's like, "Oh, well, you for sure need to quit the caffeine." And then she's just relaying the story. She's like, "Yeah," and then I quit the caffeine, and all of my sleep stuff went away.
Really?
And at that exact time, I was not sleeping well. I was just up in the night every night, fall asleep great, but then I was just up. And I kicked the caffeine, and all the sleep stuff got better.
I do something similar. Like every maybe 3 or 4 years, I just cut it out completely, and then I start having a little bit of like a Jones for some caffeine, and I slowly introduce it back in until I'm drinking too much and
you gotta
need to
kick it
kick it
again.
back out. So
Do you get a headache every time? Like when that 4-year cycle comes up?
when I need to get
When
rid
you,
of it,
Yeah, when you kick it.
no. What I experience is sleep issues, and I get shaky, like physical anxiety, I guess would be the better way to say it. Like my whole body is just like kind of amped all the time, and cutting hair, that's
That's not good.
not a good thing. So yeah, and I'm pretty, like, by the time I figure out that I need to quit it, it ends up being kind of an easy thing for me, especially when you can continue to drink
Good decaf.
good decaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sweet. Yeah, I had a headache while I was, like when I was trying to kick it. I had a headache for 1 week.
Oh,
Yeah. So because of being next to the coffee shop.
I thought you meant, did I have a headache because
Oh, yeah, no.
I needed to kick it? Yeah, no, I've never gotten a headache from not having it either.
Wow. So because of being so close to the coffee shop and how delicious cold brew is, it happened in the summer where I was drinking
I
multiple
remember.
nitros, not even cold brew, just multiple
Yeah.
nitros every day. And I just developed an absolute raging
Yeah.
caffeine addiction.
And is it true that cold brew somehow affects you, the caffeine affects you different? Do you know anything?
I don't know if it's the cold brew itself. From what I've heard, someone could fact check this. But I think it's the nitro. So like when you're drinking nitro, I think there's something about the nitrogen and the caffeine accessibility, something like that.
It's the bubbles that go to your head.
That's right.
It's like with champagne.
Is it?
I don't know. It's
Also needs to be fact checked.
Yeah, if somebody
This is going to be a fantastic podcast, absolutely full of unverified
Yeah.
stats and things.
potential truths.
Yeah, right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brian, how long have you been cutting hair then?
Man, I think it would be like 23 years now, 23 or 24.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah. It doesn't feel like, that feels like too big a number. Like I don't
Like
feel,
you haven't been doing it that long.
I don't feel old enough to have done any one thing for that number of years. So to have that number under my belt feels strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. Well, I mean, I've been getting my hair cut by you for a really long time.
Yep.
And I absolutely love getting my hair cut by you.
Yeah.
You're the best. And
Thank you.
I love
Thank
coming
you.
in to get my hair cut by you.
Yeah.
If you need a haircut and you can wait 6 to 8 weeks, you should go and check out Brian because not only is it a good cut, but you just get to hang out and chat with a really nice guy.
Yeah. Thank you. That's nice to hear. I think we should also share our photos that we've taken.
Which
like just of your haircuts.
Oh,
The just kind of, we could maybe talk about future sales of our coffee table
that's
book.
right. You've heard it here first,
Yeah,
folks.
yeah. It'll be available probably 2060, 2070. Do you think we'll wait that long?
I think we gotta.
We'll have to wait till all of the haircuts are done.
Yeah. So I'll have to be completely bald probably.
Which,
And then, yeah.
yeah.
Great. So every single haircut that Brian has ever given me, which is, we're going on, I think 13 years of being friends.
Yeah, yeah. it's good.
And so 13 years of haircuts, that's, probably averaging one a month or one every 6 weeks, however many that is. We have taken the exact same photo with my phone
Every single time.
where I'm still in the chair, the haircut's done, he stands behind me, and I take a picture with my phone in the mirror. And we're going to make a coffee table book.
Yep.
You've heard it here first.
Yeah.
1999, it's, although in 2060. Inflation, that's going to be we're going to be able to charge a lot more for that.
2025. Like $20.25.
Great.
That'll be the new dollar store price.
Yeah.
We'll have 2025 stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Yeah. I think I love talking to people who care about their craft, they care about quality, and who have spent a career and a lifetime trying to get really, really good at something. And so I love being your friend for that.
Thank you.
I love watching you work. And I mean, not even just when I get my hair cut, but I love swinging by and watching you cut hair. And I think the fun thing about watching you cut is it's not just that you're competent, with your shears and clippers, thank you. I'm not a barber. That's not my thing. But even just like the way that you actually like engage with your customer and put them at ease and do all that stuff. I mean, I watch you with my kid, you know, like, Brian's the only guy that's ever cut my son's hair. And even just that first haircut with James, he was nervous about, the sounds and the little, the buzzing and all that stuff. He's just nervous about it. And you just put him at ease. And I've watched you do that for kids, and I've watched you do that for adults. And
yeah, that's honestly probably my favorite part of the job is the human interaction, the conversations, and the connection that I get with people. That way I like to kind of blur the lines of like friendship and client. Like I like to think that I could go out for a meal or a drink or have a cup of coffee or whatever with just about any of my clients, and it wouldn't feel awkward. More awkward than I make any interaction.
So is that what this is? It's just been this whole time?
Yeah, and I have been kind of waiting, what we said, like 13 years for the perfect time to break that to you.
Oh, no.
And I think that right now might be that time, just because we're kind of in a safe spot.
Yeah, good.
We're not heavily caffeinated right now, so you'll
Decaf.
probably accept it better. But yeah.
This was just a blurred line.
Just kind of a blurred line. And you've been a really good customer. But
yeah, good.
no, of course you're a great friend.
I mean, here's kind of the fun thing. I think the way that you and I became friends was so fun. My mom and dad used to come over to Cassie and I's house for dinner once a week, and I'd gone out to get pizza at Papa, which is the take and bake one.
Papa Murphy's.
Papa Murphy's.
Yep, that's right
Papa
there.
Murphy's, which was by your old salon, and I locked my keys in the car, and because a champion like that.
Yeah.
And I went back into Papa Murphy's and I said, I am so sorry. I am going to pee my pants. Would you please let me use the bathroom? And they said, under no circumstance can you use this bathroom here.
Right.
And I was waiting for my dad to come with a spare key, and there was a salon next door, and I was like, hopefully they'll let me.
You gotta risk it, yeah.
And so I went in, panicking, and you were standing at the front desk, and you're like, yeah, of course. And
Actually, I don't know if you remember, but I wasn't like, yeah, of course. We had just had like a bathroom incident. Like
I do remember.
You do.
What happened there, Brian?
And so I think I gave you like a polite but stern warning, like,
if you rub poop on the walls,
don't mess this up for yourself. You get one shot.
You get one shot.
Yeah. And if you don't poop
on
my walls, you get to be my best friend.
someone had come into his salon and used the bathroom and didn't respect the space.
Just did not respect the space at
So a big cleaning bill, the whole deal. So I showed up shortly after that, and so he did say, like, just please be quick. And
because it was for customers at that point.
Yeah.
And then you became a customer.
And then I became a customer. The thing is, I had just got a haircut. Do you remember this? I had just got a haircut.
Yeah.
And so I thought your shop was so cool. You were so cool. Also, this is like this weird little kismet friend thing. We were wearing the exact same thing. We had the same boots on and the same jeans, the same Levi's, the same T-shirt. So it kind of felt a little fortuitous.
Yep.
But I remember we scheduled a haircut for me to come in.
Yeah, like 8 weeks out or 6 weeks out.
Yeah, 6 or 8 weeks out. And by the time that haircut rolled around, I think you had cut me twice.
Yeah.
And we were best friends.
Yeah, yep.
So just like that.
Yeah. It's history.
And it's been really fun. I went home that night once my dad showed up with the keys and told everybody how I had just met my new best friend.
Yeah, and I did the same thing with my wife.
So fun.
That night, yeah.
Cool. All right, Brian, we have another little cup of coffee here. This one happens to have some caffeine.
Okay.
So I'm just going to sip a small amount of this one.
Okay.
But we're going to drink a light roast here.
I'm going to go nuts.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
So we're drinking a light roast.
Uh-huh.
This is from Costa Rica.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, light roast. Kind of think like sweet, almost citrusy a little bit.
Okay.
I happen to love light roasts. That's kind of my jam.
And is it correct that a light roast has a higher caffeine content, or is that also?
It's that's kind of a misnomer.
Yeah.
Or a misnomer is not quite the right way to say it, but it's so negligible. It's so negligible that it might as well not be true. But
Oh, really?
somehow that kind of got into the zeitgeist, and
Yeah.
everyone just talks about that.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
But
interesting.
a light roast, it's been roasted for less time than a medium roast or an espresso or a dark roast, and so you get a little bit more of the nuance of what that bean actually is.
Sure.
In wine, there's something called, I think it's pronounced terroir. It means earth, and it's kind of like when you're tasting and drinking wine, you're trying to understand like what happened, not just like, it's not like what makes this varietal unique by itself, but also how that varietal, how that grape was affected by the dirt and the soil and the temperature and the rain and all that stuff. All of that exists in coffee too. And so, I happen to love a light roast because you haven't roasted it long enough or far enough where you're kind of covering up some of the uniqueness that exists in that bean. So
That's interesting.
yeah. So you'll know, there's kind of like little like kind of citrusy notes here. You get that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, almost citric maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes with light roasts, people talk about, they'll say things like botanical or floral, kind of depending on that roast. Yeah, so those are my favorites.
I wish I had a better palate, I guess, like the ability to do that. I don't know if
It's just
I can.
the only way
learn
to get better at it is just to keep doing it. But every single snooty coffee person, every single one of them, they all started drinking, sugary, milk-filled drinks.
Yeah.
And eventually, you just kind of get better at it. So
Yeah.
I don't like the whole snootiness thing with coffee, just
Yeah.
because everybody's kind of on a journey and getting better, and
Right.
and the journey is fun. And I think if you alienate people away from that, it's I think you kind of maybe lose people that could be like really good consumers of really good coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Okay.
This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian, I want to ask you just one more question about your career, and you have been being 40-ish. You've been cutting hair now for a long time. How have you seen the industry change? And I know the hairstyles change, but like, has the industry itself changed? Has it changed here in Central Minnesota?
Yeah.
And then what do you think? What do the next 20 years look like?
Great questions. Yes, it's changed, and I would say it's changed a lot. Even so, when I first started cutting hair, I was cutting men's and women's hair, maybe even more women's hair at that time than men's. And early 2000s, it was almost like, I don't know, people looked funny and or afraid of a dude cutting women's hair. So like, I remember when I first started cutting hair, I would have, I'd go to the lobby of the hair salon that I was working at, and I'd call for the woman whose hair I was supposed to cut, and she would just say no, like, I'm not gonna let you cut my hair. And then a few short years later, I remember working at hair salons and having people call and just say, do you have a man that cuts hair there? And when they would say yes, they would say, well, that's who I want to see. So it went kind of from like, there's no way a man would know how to cut a woman's hair, to like, I will only see a man. And they knew nothing about me or my abilities, just that I was a man who was cutting women's hair. So that was kind of a unique difference. And then I think the most unique difference for me, because I soon started focusing more on doing men's grooming. I think the biggest, most interesting way is how men have evolved in their grooming, or kind of devolved. Is that the word where you go unevolved? Yeah. So you've devolved. But like in the early 2000s, we were kind of like, men were almost grooming more like women, in that they were grooming in more like a hair salon setting. There was a lot more like eyebrow waxing for men and body waxing for men. And like, we were grooming a little bit more similar to what women were grooming. And I wonder if it was just a kind of a generational thing, and like what that generation, or who that generation was taught from, like mothers or or wives teaching their husbands and stuff like that, because the men of that, their fathers were busy doing other things and not teaching them how to shave, so they had to go to a hair salon to have it waxed off or whatever the case may be. And then I kind of watched that evolve into, or devolve again, back into now men are grooming a little bit more similarly to how our grandfathers probably groomed. Shaving has become more of an art form of, old tools. So we're seeing guys use straight razors or safety razors and mugs and brushes and just doing
lathering up and stuff.
Yeah. So instead of electric razors and stuff like that, and hairstyles even have kind of gone back to this sort of classic style and
pompadours and
and we're even kind of moving back beyond that again. But yeah, it's there's nothing really new, I guess, in the industry. It's just old things being recycled in new ways. So it's interesting. It's changed a lot, and I think pop culture
affects that a ton.
Affects it huge.
So do you kind of watch and you're like, oh man, I think this thing that I'm cutting a lot right now, I'm guessing this is on its way out. And then are you guessing? Are you trying to figure out like what's kind of coming? Mm-hmm. Can you kind of see sometimes because of what's happening in, fashion or Hollywood or, stuff like that? Can you see it come earlier in certain places?
Yeah. And maybe I see it come more because of who I'm watching on social media and stuff like that. Like watching people on the coast kind of, and then you watch it move towards Central America or the Midwest. So maybe for that reason I see it a little bit more, but usually what I see happening elsewhere, like to the extremes, nothing really to the extreme is happening in central Minnesota. So we're pretty.
I love that about central Minnesota.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, we're all pretty safe.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you love about being in central Minnesota? I mean, obviously, once you finish your career, you easily could have gone to the metro and gone and been a barber down there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take it anywhere, but you've stayed here and you've put roots down here, even though this wasn't like your hometown.
Yeah.
Like, why have you stayed?
I think I just really love the people of the area. I think more than anything, I've just met really great friends, and my friends have become people who I didn't want to leave, and I did in the early 2000s. I moved out to the Bay Area of San Francisco for a little bit, or the Bay Area of California, and I was only out there for a few months just because I wanted to get home to my friends and my family and be nearer to them. So I think the people and the support that I feel in the area keeps me wanting to be here. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Thanks.
I mean, I kind of feel similar. I mean, it was my, central Minnesota is my hometown. I grew up in Sartell. But I went to Minneapolis for school, and I kind of never thought I'd leave the city. Not because I didn't like home or anything like that, but I kind of just got like caught up in the big city life and, some of that stuff. And man, but then, I got married and we just started talking about, man, it'd be nice to have kids someday and coming back home and being in this community. It was such a draw. It felt like such a draw.
Yeah.
And we're so glad that we moved back. And yeah, it feels like the roots are really, really deep here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got good soil, I guess. I agree. I was going to expound on that, but I don't think I need to. You said it great.
Maybe one of the things that we could do is it's kind of been a secret, something we've been kind of working on.
Oh, wow.
For a number of years, but maybe we make a little debut here of our singing group.
50%.
50%. So I don't know if any of you guys know what a barbershop quartet is, but it's four dudes in silly hats and often bow ties that are singing 4-part harmony. And it's
beautifully
magical. It really is magical.
Yep.
But when you only got two guys, you just got 50%
of it. Yep.
And what number do you think that we should do now?
Oh, wow. Do you want to do an original or?
Always.
Yeah. Let's do St. Joe Parade.
St. Joe Parade. At the St. Joe Parade, there were candy throwers,
and it goes
down on the ground,
where kids
pick it up.
A 1 and a 2, and let's pick it up. Let's do the faster version of
The fast version?
Oh, yeah. The St. Joe Parade. It's a wonderful day.
They got the candy, the little go-karts.
At the St. Joe Parade.
Wow. Do you think they're clapping as they're kind of doing dishes or driving to work?
Yeah, I think first they're battling with speechlessness.
Yeah, good.
And I myself, I'm still kind of processing how that all happened for us.
That's good.
And it feels good to be out with that, I think, to kind of have that.
And maybe you're listening right now and you're thinking to yourself, would 50% ever come to my birthday party?
Oh.
Or maybe mom and dad celebrating 50 wonderful wedded years of bliss.
Bat mitzvahs.
Bat mitzvahs. Bar mitzvahs.
Bar mitzvahs.
Christenings of all kind. Quinceañeras.
Oh, my favorite.
All of them. We can absolutely come and...
Absolutely. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, would 50% like to be 75 or 100%?
Get out of here with that.
Not a chance.
Auditions are closed.
We're just not interested.
Yep.
We've built what we have, and we're not needing to share that.
That's right.
So
It's good. Brian, I think this is actually going really well. This whole podcast, this one. No one can tell that it's our first one at all.
Nope.
And obviously, we'll have you back on many more times.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep the renditions coming.
Yeah.
Some of the other original tunes that we've done.
Well, and I picked that one because that's our best one. So
Clearly.
if we're gonna do others, maybe we would practice them a little bit more.
Great. All right. Okay, Brian.
Yeah.
We have our third and final little coffee course.
Okay.
This is almost like a little flight of coffees.
Yeah.
This one is
this one
dessert.
looks
This one is dessert. We have,
fantastic.
this is a chocolate blended latte.
Oh wow.
So it has everything that's delicious about a latte. Then you just add ice. And
Also caffeinated.
also caffeinated. So, pace yourself a little bit.
Of course.
But the espresso in here is from El Salvador.
Oh, thank you to the El Salvadorians for this.
It's maybe hard to taste because, chocolate is sweet and it kind of covers it. But,
Yeah. No, it is.
Oh, the mustache is full. I love that. But there's little notes of kind of spicy almond in
There
that.
is.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's great.
I mean, just.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, you went...
Just kind of a sipper.
You did that whole thing. That's good.
Yeah. No, that was a great one.
That's great.
Are
Okay.
you gonna finish yours?
I'm finishing mine. You
Okay.
slow down. You slow down here.
Okay.
Someday, Brian, when we're old, and I mean old. We're hoping that it's really, really old.
Yeah.
But when we're both widowers,
Yes.
it's devastating. It's
Tragic.
It's tragic. But we're gonna combine our resources, and we're gonna get what?
We're gonna do the trampoline apartment.
Trampoline apartment. So you need kind of maybe one of those brownstones, something that's kind of tall, and you got to take out the floor of this, what is the second floor. You got to take out that entire floor,
Yeah.
so that you can put a trampoline in the whole first level,
Yeah.
and then you have the whole thing is trampolines.
Yeah. The idea is it's kind of born of the movie Big. Remember the movie Big?
I remember.
Yeah. He moved into this apartment. My memory told me that it was a trampoline floor that he had installed.
Yeah.
Turns out it was just a big trampoline.
Big one.
On the floor, like just a regular like it wasn't dug in, but I think the inspiration that it caused is so much better than what the reality of the movie was. So, yeah, trampoline apartment will be great.
One of my favorite Brian Wohlman memories, and it's something that I think it comes up in our little thing a fair bit. Because of my job and some work stuff, I feel like I know a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I've met a lot of people. I like people, so I find myself in places where I get to meet people. Mm-hmm. You are similar in a lot of ways, and your job you've cut how many people's hair in town?
6.
6. And when you and I went to the old county fair.
Oh, wow.
Brian and I had a little competition.
I'm surprised you're going to bring this up.
Well, here's the deal. I'm competitive. I'd like to win.
Yeah.
But I'm not sad if I lose. And no, I'm sad if I lose.
I mean, you were sad that day.
Yeah, and now I'm still kind of sad about it.
Yeah.
But Brian and I did a little competition at the county fair where the goal was who knew the most people.
Yep.
There were some rules, some stipulations.
Yeah, we had to wave and say hello, and they had to...
You had to greet them. You couldn't just say, I know that person over there.
Right.
You had to actually greet them, and they needed to greet you back.
Yeah.
You had to make some sort of connection with them, whether it was actually talking to them or just greeting them. And we were tied. When we were at I think we had my kids with.
Yeah.
And we were walking around doing the whole animals, whole thing, there for a few hours, and neck. And it was this perfect thing, kind of kismet. Mm-hmm. We were tied. We had ended this big giant battle. We both knew so many people, getting ready to leave. We had walked out. We had actually left the county fairgrounds, and we were walking to my car, and parked next to me was some dude who you'd been cutting forever, and you just, I think maybe to rub it in, you just stood there and talked for a while, just to really let me know, this one here, this one's mine. I win this one.
Yeah, and I think in many ways it reminds me of a sporty ball game that I watched recently.
Okay.
Where
just to be clear, just so everybody knows, you're a big sport ball.
Love sport.
All of the throwing stuff.
You throw them, you can hit the sport.
You kick, some of them
they kick
or hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Big sport guy.
Yeah. So you were the San Franciscans in this situation, and I was Taylor Swift.
Wow. And the San Franciscans, they were up.
It was neck and neck, and
right, and at the very last minute,
so
the Swifts won.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are. Look at that.
Yeah.
Big sport ball guy.
Yep.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Brian, tell me about what you're wearing. You're wearing what's called a little Canadian tuxedo here.
I am indeed wearing a Canadian tuxedo. It's one of my favorite outfits. I wear it frequently. Mm-hmm. Denim. On denim.
Wow.
And as I'm sure if I don't mention, you will bring it up. I always include.
That's where we're going.
An adventure wrap.
And again, if you're not watching this video, an adventure wrap, it's a handkerchief,
a neckerchief.
A neckerchief of some kind, twisted, rolled, wrapped a little bit, and then tied around the neck.
Yeah.
And just why? Why do you always have on your adventure wrap?
Because I'm always ready for an adventure.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just one of those. A pirate doesn't leave without his sword.
Yep.
Brian doesn't leave without his adventure wrap. You know, I'm just up for a good adventure. And
whether that's on a motorbike,
motorcycle,
Jeep with the top down,
Jeep, a walk, until the sun begins to set, and the roads are being rolled.
Yeah, right.
I'm ready for adventure.
Yeah, and just remind me one time since you're 89. What time is it in St. Joe that they start rolling up the roads?
Well, it depends on the time of year, of course.
Right. Yeah.
So it's about 30 minutes past sunset.
Okay.
Is when I feel it's safest to
be driving,
to pack it up, to not be driving. Like,
right.
That's when
that's when you're done.
If the vehicle's not in the garage by then, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. So hypothetically, if someone had an 11-year-old boy, this is, purely hypothetical.
Yeah.
But someone had an 11-year-old boy that loved playing Settlers of Catan
Yes.
at all hours of the day and night.
Yes.
Like maybe if he were to be like, hey, Uncle Brian, why don't you come on over and play Catan with me and my son? You would say something like,
can I know what time of the day it was?
yeah, it's right now. Yeah, it's right now. And it's 8 p.m.
Oh, it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Is when I get the phone call.
Yeah.
And it's this time of the year. It's kind of a February.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big no for me.
Yeah,
on a couple of reasons. One, it's so close to bedtime.
Yep.
And two, the roads have been
Rolled up.
and put away for at least an hour.
Yeah. It's hard for a nephew. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't understand.
Well,
he doesn't understand.
he needs to be taught. Is what he needs.
No, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I think that's one of my favorite of your old man things. I also love just your love of weather. I mean, I think categorically, I kind of love it.
Yeah.
And then I hate how it gets played out. I hate that I have to hear about it all the time.
And that's something that it sounds like your son has picked up on, right?
I think he comes by it naturally from Uncle Brian.
Yeah.
But you have for sure passed it on. You have for sure passed on to him.
Yeah, neither of my kids picked that up, so I'm glad that I needed somebody to take the reins because I won't be around forever.
He's always asking Siri about like what the weather is and
yeah, it's incredible.
Wait until he gets his own phone and he can have all the apps that you have. I mean, you'll have to help him know which ones to get.
Obviously,
that one's a waste of money.
I'll
Don't
send
get
him
that
the
one.
package,
Yeah. The folder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
One time I called Brian. I actually FaceTimed him. I had driven up a big giant parking garage. And you know, like when you're driving in a parking garage, you're going round and round and round. And I kind of got disoriented. I was up at the top. I didn't know which direction I was looking. And I said something along the lines of like, oh, we were just talking. There's this huge thunderhead rolling in. Oh, the clouds are so cool. Yeah, they're coming in from the east. Something like that. Because again, I thought I knew which direction I was looking. And he didn't know where I was or what I was looking at. And he said, no. He said, you're not looking at the east.
You're foolish.
You're foolish.
Yeah.
Because
it was the west. The storm comes in from the west.
And apparently this is a thing that people know. I don't know if any of you guys here know that, but storms most typically storms come from one direction. How am I supposed to know that? But guess what? My 11-year-old does know that too.
Yeah, of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. You maybe would like this. My mom just got back from a little trip to Cayman. Just got back from the Cayman Islands.
Oh, okay.
And she brought back James. What he said was the very best $20 present he had ever received.
Was it one of the things with the barometric bubble thing? Okay.
No, those are cool though.
Yeah.
He would love that.
Yeah.
It was a little bracelet, like that had a little turtle charm on it. But what you actually got was a QR code that helped you download an app. And James has a turtle, and this turtle has a tracker on it. And so like from the app, he can go and he can like watch where he knows. It's
a wild turtle, or it's like lives in a zoo somewhere?
Yeah, no, it's a wild one. I mean, it's in the Atlantic, and you can just track it every day. It'll give you a new location of where it's at, tell you how far it swam and what average speed was, and there's a picture of it. Her name is Tello. He is so hoping that she'll end up on the beach and have babies, so that there can be. And then he thinks that he'll kind of get to watch and track them too. And then he found out that Tello's actually being tracked by 40,000 people.
Oh, no.
So it went from what he said was the very best $20 gift ever to like...
absolute garbage.
Not garbage, but he's just like way less interested.
Yeah.
He thought it was...
He thought he had a turtle.
His turtle. Her name's Tello. He was... I wish you could have seen the level of excitement. Do you think that you would get in anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
They have lions. You can do a lion. You pay $20 and you can track a lion.
I would want to know the maximum number of people that can track my lion. Like, I'm okay.
I mean, I think if it's a lion, it's going to be
custody.
like hundreds of
You think
thousands
so?
of people that you've got to share custody with.
So I have Find My Friends with my children.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of a similar situation. I have air tags on my keys.
Right.
And I'm the only one. And I think an air tag is like $20.
Yeah.
What if we put an air tag on one of my dogs?
Yeah, good.
Let James follow it, and it could be only his.
Could it be Tipper?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we have no interest
Yeah.
in Yuki.
No,
I mean,
we know.
We know this.
Yeah.
We know this.
Yeah.
But Tipper,
Yep.
oh, little love.
Yep, he could see
'Kay.
where Tipper is whenever he wants to. It will be at my house.
All the
That's
time.
where
Yeah, no.
Tipper goes. But unless we're out for our walks or whatever.
Oh, he'll know, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll, maybe he could do some math and figure out some average speeds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about, Find My Friends?
Oh, I love Find My Friends.
I also love Find My Friends.
I love
I mean,
Find
you and
My
I follow each other.
Of course.
How many people do you have on Find My Friends?
I
Can we
don't.
look?
I don't have the actual number.
I don't either. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like working on a collection. I think it's
Yeah.
fun to try to figure out who do you feel comfortable with,
Yeah.
where they know.
Where you have nothing to hide from.
Yeah, like they can know where I am at all times,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun to know where they are. And I have so many.
Do you
I have
think,
so many.
Yeah, I wonder if Apple thought that was going to get bigger and it didn't, or do you think they meant it to be used exactly how it's being used? Like it should have been like Find My Family, right? Like not many people are going to allow their friends to track them like that.
I don't know.
Although I think a lot of
we
people
are
do
old,
that.
though. We're old.
Yeah.
So maybe.
But I think Snapchat does that as well,
Right.
right? So a lot of people do that.
I've never had Snapchat, so I don't know.
Yeah. I only
But,
have it because my kids.
Right.
I've never
Yeah,
snapped a single chat.
I love the Find My Friends thing.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, sweet, Brian. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being podcast guest number 1.
Uno.
I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Seriously, this was a help. As we're getting into this, I think the thing that's kind of fun about this podcast is we don't exactly know what it'll be yet. We know that we want to talk about St. Cloud.
Yep.
We know we want to talk to interesting people.
Yep.
It's called Chit Chat because we just want it to be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a great idea.
yeah, so we're looking for just fun and interesting people that are doing cool stuff, and you are all of those things.
Oh, thank you.
As well as being one of my very dearest and very truest friends. I love you.
So honored to be here. And
Were the drinks all right?
the drinks were fantastic.
Good.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Brian, in closing, I want 2 things, okay?
Okay.
Just in central Minnesota, is there a gem? Is there a little hot spot? Is there a place that you love that you would just give a little shout out to?
I love Kohinoor.
Yeah.
My wife and I love to go to Kohinoor, little local Indian joint. They have great food, great cocktails. It's a fun environment and it's wonderful. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My little gem for today, I think I'm going to say Kay's Kitchen.
Oh.
There's not tons and tons and tons of like breakfast joints
Yeah.
in central Minnesota.
Yeah.
But I love Kay's. I love going for breakfast. My daughter Lucy and I,
Yeah.
we love going there. It's kind of our little date spot.
Yeah.
So not only do I like a good breakfast,
Yep.
but it's kind of a sweet thing that it's our.
Does she do the caramel rolls?
Yeah, well, we split
Yeah.
one because
Yeah.
they're big.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then finally, Brian, our last little thing, our unpaid advertisement. What do you think needs a shout out today?
You know what? I had an idea of where I think I'm gonna go barbecue sauce. Like I think barbecue sauce is probably the best of the condiments. I think it's appreciated, but maybe not to its full potential in central Minnesota. So big barbecue. I've always been a big fan of Big Barbecue, like the conglomerate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
like
I
Big
think-
Pharma,
Right, Big
Yeah.
Pharma,
Big Barbecue.
Barbecue.
Big Q.
We call it Big BBB.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
My unpaid advertisement for today is an incredible book that I finished recently called The Yearling.
The year?
Yeah, it was written, I think, in maybe like the 1920, maybe even a little bit earlier. It's an incredible story about a little boy named Jody who he finds a fawn and raises a fawn, and it's like, I think what's good and true and right about our world, and I loved it, and it's like 100 years old.
And venison is a very lean meat too, so I think it's very protein high. And
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great, good shout out.
Yeah, good. Thanks, buddy.
Big venison.
All right, everybody. Well, seriously, thanks so much for listening to our first ever podcast. Here's our little commitment. We don't exactly know what this podcast is, what it's going to be yet, but we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to try to do something really, really fun here in central Minnesota, talking to really neat people. And we are going to do, at a minimum, we're going to do 52 of these. Our promise and our commitment is that we're going to release one every week for an entire year. And then at the end of the year, we're going to figure out what this thing looks like. And maybe we keep going or maybe we don't. But we're really excited about what this thing could be. And so we're thankful that you're listening along. Seriously, whether you're driving to work right now or doing the dishes or mowing the lawn or shoveling snow.
Family time.
Family time. Whatever it is, we're thankful that you're listening. And if there's a guest that you think that we should have on, why don't you let us know? And I never thought I'd say this, but like, you could like and subscribe or do all the things that the other podcast hosts that are better, the things that they ask you to do. That would be really wonderful because it helps us. Again, that's what they all say. But
yeah, my kids watch a lot of YouTube, and it's a smash that like button, I think is
right. Smash that like.
Yeah, say that, I think is.
Smash that like. Do we chant it?
I don't
smash
think so. It's always
like.
just like a one-time thing. Like, just smash that like button.
Great. I'm learning all the things, guys. Thanks for being along for it. We'll see ya.